In this video, I'm going to walk you through setting up your account with Occupational Health Clinic Software. Once you receive the link to your account, along with your username and password, you will be able to access this page. You will be able to have your account or portal set up on your own domain or using a subdomain on our platform. The choice is yours, but we do give you control over your branding. So once you're on this page, you'll see two login options. One is for clinician and one is for client. The difference between these two is the clinician or even the administrator login is accessed through here. So this would be the login used by yourself or by any one of your clinicians that uses the application to manage appointments and other aspects of the application. The client login is more for TPAs and organizations that you want to give control over booking their own workers and patients. I'm going to start here with the clinician login, and I'm going to enter in my information as you would enter in your information from the email you received when you originally set it up. The first thing I'm presented with here is my dashboard. There's a number of things that you're not seeing here that you will see once we actually set up some aspects to your application. The first thing I'm going to do is set up a couple of items. One, over here on the user's dashboard. Currently, I am the only user on the application. I do have the ability to add additional users with additional roles, such as clinician or administrator. Based upon the role you set, there will be certain things available and certain things blocked from your view. As an example, if you're just a clinician, you're not going to be able to control things like scheduling or reporting. You're not going to be able to control or view certain pricing details of the services that are offered, just to give you an idea. If you want to add an additional user, you can do that here. And you can also add clinicians. Clinicians are also users. By adding and creating a clinician, we can assign a clinician to our user profile and then be able to take actions on appointments and other items. In here, I'm going to create myself a clinician. Be the first step you would likely take. I'm going to use the email that I used for my user profile, or that was created for my user profile here. And I'm going to go ahead and create that clinician. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'll go back to my users and I'm going to go ahead and associate a clinician with my particular user profile. Now I have that completed. The next item I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up a clinic. So a clinic is a location where you provide the services. In this case, I'm just going to call this one test clinic. And in here, I can add information like the address, city, province, or state, longitude, latitude, and other items in here. This will be information that is appended to some of the emails, such as appointment confirmations, giving people directions as to where their actual appointment is going to take place. So you would likely want to fill this information out to see that or to communicate that to your patients. I'm just going to start with the clinic name, and I'll go ahead and I'll create that. Now I have a clinic set up. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a few assessments. So assessments in this case are basic services that you provide. We'll be able to go in and add additional services that are associated with assessments. But in this case, we'll add some basic assessments that happen within your clinic. As an example, likely you are a clinic that offers drug and alcohol testing. You can provide a description and you can provide how many 15-minute blocks this particular assessment takes up, which is fairly standard within the industry. So in this case, typically a drug and alcohol test is going to be about 15 minutes. So we'll go ahead and we'll create that assessment. Some other assessments we may want to add in here, common with the industry, would be things like a mask fit. And for good measure, we'll also add in a nurse medical. And this would be something that would be about 2 15-minute blocks. So I'll go ahead and I'll create that assessment there. I'm going to go back to my clinics in here. I'm now looking at the clinic dashboard view, which has the calendar. We currently cannot add any appointments in here until we actually create some rooms. So a room within a clinic could be a physical room that exists within there, or a room could also be maybe a mobile unit that is associated with this specific clinic. In this case, I'm going to add room name in here. I'll just call this, for simplicity, room 1. I might want to add additional information in here. For example, I might want to say, well, this room is the audiometric room, just for reference. And I'll add audiometric as well to our assessments down here so that we can actually have that in there. Okay, we'll leave that as a 15-minute block. I'll go back to my clinic in here. You see I have my one room for audiometric. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the assessments, and I'm going to add an assessment to this room. This makes it so that when we do select a specific assessment, we are an appointment, and we need to select a clinic. We can see what assessments are available based upon the rooms that have been assigned. This will make sense in another video where I show how the appointment booking process actually works. But in here for now, this is our audiometric room, so we'll add audiometric, and probably a test that could be done in any room given the equipment that is required would be drug and alcohol. Okay, if we want to remove those as available from the room, we can do that simply here using the trash icon. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add one other room here. I'm going to call this room 2, and I'm just going to call this overflow. Could be that it provides any service, could be your walk-in traffic, however you see fit to use that. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add some other assessments in here. I'll actually add all the assessments in here for that purpose. Fantastic. Okay. Now this tab down here is our services tab. A service is something that you would provide as part of an assessment. So if I go ahead, I have two options here. I can import from a CSV file that you can create, or I can just add a service manually in here. An example service in here might be, for example, an audiometric test. Perhaps there's only one type. And this comes at a price of, for example, let's say $60. I will create that in here. Excellent. And we're also able to create other services in here. So for the sake of providing a service to another one, we'll do the, for example, the 7-POCT urine drug screening with breath alcohol. And I'll put in my description for that in here. And then I'll go ahead and add a price to this one, which let's just say it's $110 to do that. Now you can see we have that in the back there. When we're done adding our services, we can close out of that. And if we need to add a service at any point in time, we can do that as well. And if we need to manage a specific service, we can specify the name of it to show it within our list. Okay, perfect. So we have, first of all, our assessment set up now. We have our users and our clinicians set up, and we have clinics with some clinic rooms set up as well. So the next thing that we probably want to do here would be to add some patients. We have two ways to add patients. One, we can add a patient that is a part of an organization, or one that is separate from an organization. Maybe this is a walk-in that is required to do a drug test or some other thing. So that's what we'll start with in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add John Smith. Adding additional details in here will make this patient more easier to identify. So I would recommend doing that. I'm going to go ahead and create the patient in here. What happens after we create the patient is we're automatically brought over to the patient's profile, and we have the ability here now to book in a specific appointment. So if I click on Add Appointment, you can see I have selected clinic, and I could select the test clinic that we set up moments ago. Now this test clinic does provide these different tests. So as an example, this might be a pre-employment thing, and they need to see three of these tests done for them. We can select multiple items. If we make a mistake, clicking on it again removes it as an option. Okay, and I'll go ahead and add an appointment in here. Now we have visibility into the two rooms within this clinic. And within these two rooms, we can choose either room that we see fit, and we can choose the day as well. So here I have Monday, August 11th. And if I want to flip through various days and see their availability, I can do that as well. Let's book this appointment in for 9. This is first of 3. Now you can see that if this patient is in a 9 o'clock slot, across all the rooms they show as booked, so that we can't double book an individual. This also applies across several clinics if you have several clinics and you need to move patients between them. The next item to book here is a drug and alcohol, which is another 15-minute block, which is great. Do that as well. And then in here for our nurse medical, we can book one in for 9:30. Immediately after that. The only reason you're seeing one room in there is because that is the only room that offers that assessment. Perfect. Now you can see here we have our 3 booked appointments. We can add additional details to these appointments, and I'll go over this in a future video as well. But if we need to do some simple things like add appointment-specific instructions for our clinicians to be able to view, then we can do that in here. So as an example, client requests a 7 POCT screening. Okay, we'll update this. We see we're brought back, and now the clinician has access to those notes. I won't go into the other items in here. I'll do them in separate videos as to how to use the other functionality. But we can do that with each of our appointments in here. Now, if we return to our dashboard, that's the first place I'm going to go. You can see we have a little bit more information that we can see in here now because we are associated with a clinician, such as the schedule. And we also have the option here to set a default clinic for this clinician. So perhaps we move clinicians around or they're fixed to one location. This clinician will be able to select their clinic. And once they've done that, they now have full visibility into that specific clinic in there. They can see any upcoming appointments that they have as well that have been assigned specifically to them. I'm going to go over here to our test clinic. Now the first thing you're going to see is the calendar. You do have other views for the calendar. You can view a weekly view, and you can also view a monthly view of these items. I'm going to go back to this dashboard. This one is for simplicity. And within here, we have certain options to be able to view this better. Right now, I'm looking at this on a large desktop screen. If I was looking at this on a tablet, I can do things like minimize my sidebar, which persists between refreshes. And I also have the option here to make this particular screen full screen. In here, we see the appointments that we have booked in their various rooms. Depending on the number of rooms that are booked for that day, each room is represented within its own column in here. So you can see potentially where there is availability to fill your space as well. Viewing an appointment from here is as simple as clicking on this and doing things like assigning services and whatnot. I'll show you how that works in a future video. And we also have the ability in here, if our clinician is assigned to this clinic, to be able to assign them to this particular appointment, which again I will cover in a different video. The next item I'm going to go to here is organizations. So organizations would be a group of patients, and by having an organization, we are also then able to give people the ability, TPAs, the ability to access book appointments, view documents and information that are related to that. I'm going to call this one Acme Inc. And you can provide a contact person, phone, email, and these will be quick references for clinicians to be able to use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create this organization. Perfect. I'm going to go within the organization and I'm going to go ahead and add a patient. By adding a patient, I am then able to create an appointment for them. So I'll call this one Jane Smith. I'm going to go ahead and create that patient. And again, we're immediately brought over to our appointments page for this patient. And in here, I have the ability to book them an appointment for a specific clinic, as you had seen earlier, which I will do in here. All right, so that is the end of this video. In the next video, you will see how the various appointment functionality and organization functionality works.